Hello everybody, welcome back to Gotham for another Batman Miniature Game 3rd Edition Battle Report. Today for you we have 350 rep of the Riddler versus 350 rep of Organised Crime. A bit of a different list for both sides this time, and playing on the table layout that you can see before you. So without further ado, let's take a look at the two crews and get things started. So here is our Riddler crew for the first time on the channel, featuring the new 3rd Edition Riddler, who is based on the Jim Carrey Riddler, although it isn't actually that Riddler, but you know, it's very clear where the inspirations came from. And he is an Intel support Riddler, so he's not actually on the table. It is his influence, where he's poking around, putting down riddle markers, which I've now changed for the channel to be giant and green and fluorescent, so they'll hopefully show up really well, which both helps as a reminder to actually use the mechanic, and also just to show where they are at all times. So you can have up to 3, but there's 2 there at the start. Riddler has the level up perk, so we'll be putting down 2 suspect markers to start the game. He also has the challenge for you roll that the other Riddlers have, so whenever his crew puts down a suspect marker, you can put a numeric counter on it, and that's very important for his cards. His sidekick is Quell. She's got It's a Dud, which can sometimes cancel out the effects of a riddle marker if it's more beneficial for you not to do it. Then we have Catman as a free agent. He is a Batman stat line. He is really, really good, but he's very limited in what crews he can be in. He can't be with Organised Crime, Joker, or Batman. So Riddler is one of the few crews that get to take advantage of him, and he's a heavy hitter, which means he can hopefully distract, while the thugs, namely Quiz 1, 3, 6, and 7, I'm not sure, no, they're not in the right order there, but that's the henchmen being brought along. They're not very powerful. The one with the guns has extra ammo. The one behind him, which is Quiz 3, has a grapple gun, and I believe one of them has the, what is it called? It's not level up, because that's the one Riddler has. It's the other ability where he can also put down additional riddle markers depending on what happens. I'm blanking on the name of it at the moment. But that's all their upgrades. 7 miniatures. We'll see how the Intel support Riddler does, and also how Catman does, because he's not been on the channel before either. And a bit of a different crew for Organised Crime. We have the Maroni family being represented for Organised Crime this time. Sal Maroni, over there looking like Columbo, is leading the crew. He brings a lot of extra funding rather, which can be spent on guns and hiring named villains. So that's what he's done, along with bringing his basic henchmen, which is the group of 3 in the middle there, and then Iceman with his very dangerous rifle at the back there. Fat Johnny, which is the one in the blue suit, he has been given the long guns upgrade that Sal Maroni lets Organised Crime do, which means his short range gun counts as medium range, and because he's a henchman, Killer Moth, who's also on the table for the first time, has also been given the long guns upgrade, so his guns are also medium range. Signal Man is here for the second time, I think, on the channel, and then Hush is here, kind of pulling the strings from the shadows. He's got Hidden Boss, so he'll take over if anything happens to Maroni. And as for the other, I think one of them's called Batista and Malatesta. They've got very similar sounding, phonetically speaking names, but a bit hard to remember. We'll talk them through when they get their turns on the table though. Obviously got a numbers advantage on Riddler as well, and with that we'll get people deployed and be back at deployment. Alright, both crews are set up and good to go. The Riddler crew is on your left and will be taking first activation. The Mastermind helped that the Riddler has, and then on the right is obviously the Organised Crime list. There is one Phase 1 card being played. It is being played by Organised Crime. Sorry, it's a Phase 2 card, but still Phase 1, Phase 2. Recovering the Juice, and it is being played on Mothman. Target a friendly model that isn't the boss. He reveals an enemy suspect marker and lives to the end of the round. So that's the only card in play. And we can take a look at who has Audacity. Sal Maroni down there has Audacity. So does Hush. So does Killer Moth. And over there, so does Signal Man. They're in a big line. Now the other thing to cover as we look at the Riddler crew is the level up 2 free suspect markers, and they've had numeric numbers put on them as per the challenge for you roll, so 1 and a 3. We have the Quiz with the machine guns, who is Quiz 1 I think. The old man with the stick, he has the ability where if you have spent 2 resources in your turn, he can put down a riddle marker for free. I've forgotten the name of the upgrade now, but that's what it does. The Riddler's up here, but again, this is just his influence. He's got Audacity. So does Quiz 3, who has a grapple gun. Quell has Undercover. She didn't go too far forwards because there's too many guns in the other team, but she has Audacity. And then down here in the street, Catman is hiding and also has Audacity, and he'll be looking to punch people. And with that, we're ready to jump into Battle Round 1. So even though they have one pass, Riddler did activate. Quiz 1 was the one who got the game started without Audacity, the one with the dual custom SMGs. He was within 8 of Riddler though for that free Inspire, even though he's up on the roof. So he moved up between the tree and the car here, put down a assessment marker, and then a bunch of stuff happened, which is what we're going to cover. First things first, an objective card with a when to score question mark is being played in the face down position. That gets flipped face up when a friendly suspect marker is revealed, and you see if the scoring criteria has happened or not. Then, as a resource, he played Riddle Me Softly. For 1, during a friendly model's activation, it may place a riddle marker within 4 inches, which he has done. So if a manipulate action gets done within 8 of that by an enemy, which is not a reveal, you can reveal one of your markers. It's to help trigger your cards if the enemy is trying to ignore your objectives, to force them to interact. Or indirectly interact. As I say, any manipulate will trigger that as long as it's not already removing a suspect marker. But we'll see if it pays off going forward. Iceman was the first activation for organised crime up there on the gun store with Killer Moth, and he didn't do anything other than taking a shot downwind at Quiz 1. Now, he is not illuminated by a light or anything like that, so he was shooting into the night, so he lost 2 attack dice, but his gun is rate of fire 3, so that's 4 dice down to 2, losing the strength die. If they'd both gotten through, it might have killed him. Only 1 did though, and instead of doing 3 blood, it's doing 1 blood, 2 stun, because Quiz 1 has hardened, so he can convert one of the damage to a different type. So just as well, he wouldn't have died either way as a result of having hardened, but, because he has 6 health, but still a nasty hit considering losing 2 dice to shooting into the night. It's a very dangerous gun. He only has 2 rounds of ammo though, I think. Quiz 7 with his baseball bat activated next, and also took advantage of his boss's influence being within 8 for that free manipulate from being inspired, because he didn't have Audacity either. Moved up and put down a assessment marker, and the 2 counter has been placed on this. No other shenanigans for him, just a basic activation. Killer Moth activated for organised crime next, and he has a grapple gun built into his kit along with a radio, so he made full use of having Audacity and all his tools. Special action was the grapple gun. He shot across here. Now, the suspect marker has been moved because he has barely enough movement to get there, so he should technically be on it, but just to basically demonstrate what happened easier, it's been shifted to the side. So he landed using his built-in radio, and thus giving him a manipulate because he's a henchman. He has revealed that suspect marker, meeting the criteria for recovering the juice as long as he's alive by the end of the turn, which there's a very high chance of. He then shot his solid shot cocoon gun at Quiz 1, who is having a bad day. 2 hits got through, and did 2 blood, 2 stun. Didn't bother using hardened on that. So he's still alive though, and with that numeric counter being flipped, we can flip this over and see if it made it. An enemy model reveals a friendly assessment marker that had a 1, 2 or a 3 on it. So although recovering the juice is going to be scoring as it stands, Riddle Me That has scored now for 3 points. Quiz 3, who started next to Riddler there, activated with Audacity. He made use of the grapple gun bought for him from funding to shoot from one building across to the other, and then has put down a assessment marker that has been given a numeric 4 on it, and another Riddler card has been put into play with the question mark score condition. So face down, don't know what it is, until such time as another suspect marker of theirs gets revealed. Hush activated next for organised crime, and he did not care that he was moving into the aura of a light, because the Riddler crew isn't exactly built for damage with the exception of Catman. He charged forwards his 10 inches, again in the illumination of that lantern light there, and just within 8 that he could shoot at Quiz 1, losing 2 dice from moving and firing, but Master Marksman to re-roll fails, and he got 2 hits through for 2 blood, 2 stun. He weathered the storm expertly from 3 people, but he just couldn't withstand the final hits. So Quiz 1 is dead, and as a result, Organised Crime are on the scoreboard for 2 for scoring a message job for removing a model as a casualty. They also earn 100 black money. Well, not being deterred at being another man down, the Riddler, well, first man down, but that gives him a deficit of 2. The Riddler activated, and he did a bunch of stuff on his turn. So his influence on the table moved here in the alleyway. He then used hacking as a special action he only moved the suspect marker that had been there back 4 inches, and then he used the manipulate to put down a suspect marker. When the Riddler does that, he can put down 2, and he can put them down within 6 inches of himself. So he put down 1 there, and 1 there, which means that there is a numeric counter with every number from 1 to 6 on it, so he could play Riddle of Nowhere. can only be played during a friendly model's activation. If at the end of the next enemy model's activation, so what we're about to go into, you have at least one of every different numeric counter on friendly suspect markers, scored the card for 2. So whoever activates next in organised crime has to try and get to one of those suspect markers and remove it. I don't think they can, thanks to the hacking move, but we'll see. Oh, before we move on to the next organised crime activation, they are doing a retaliatory objective card play. A Killing the Rat is being played. When an enemy model places a suspect, you may designate it as a rat until the end of the round. If you have more friendly models than enemy models not KO'd within 6 by the end of a turn, or if your opponent removes the marker in question, you score the card. Now, of the 2 suspect markers Riddler put down, the 6 down there is being selected. Right now he definitely has the most around it. That might change by the end of the turn, but it's a potential points, and if nothing else, could also get the card out of the hand. Malatesta, a rather cheap and cheerful hired goon of Maroni, is activated next. Standing next to the man himself for a free manipulated inspire, or rather inspired manipulate, without audacity. He moves 10 inches, so he moved up there within 6 of the marker in question that is a rat, and has put down a suspect marker using that free manipulate. So he's working towards the rat, but with the completion of his objective, he obviously did not get rid of any suspect marker, which means that the Riddle of Nowhere has scored for Riddler for 2. So of the 3 activations left in the Riddler crew, Quell activated. She stayed still for her turn and unleashed her precision gun, which didn't realise it was as powerful as it is. It's double blood and has accurate and rate of fire 3, I think. Either way, it's been unloaded into Malatesta's face. 3 hits, 6 blood. He is very dead. How much health did he have? Yeah, he's a 4/4 miniature. So, oh no, there's been a tree accident. There we go, it recovered. So he is gone, independent, nothing to do with her doing that. Just the wall got knocked there as well. Another Riddle of Nowhere has been put into place, so if no one tries to get rid of a suspect marker from the Riddler's crew in a second, this is going to score again. Oh, in response to Malatesta being murderized by Quell, there's now an event marker there you can see, because Pinched Mobster was played from Organised Crime's hand. When a friendly model takes damage from an attack, place an event marker in contact with it. Any model can manipulate it to move it 4 inches, and then if the marker makes it to the Organised Crime's deployment zone, this will score for a massive 3. The big boss himself, Maroni, activated next, and his 8 inches of movement was just enough to get over the wall there. He then spent his tactical action as a manipulate to move the event marker that just got put down by the Pinched Mobster 4 inches, doesn't score yet though. And then as a special action he used Menace. So if anyone wants to attack him this round, because it lasts until the end of the round, they have to spend an additional action of their choice. So for instance a special action, so people without audacity can't attack him. So that's his way of protecting himself. But he also did not remove any suspect markers or anything like that, so the other Riddle of Nowhere has scored. So Quiz 6 activated next for the Riddler. That's the very old man that looks like a stiff breeze could kill him. He hasn't moved, you might also notice, because all he did for his turn was a special action, but not at first. First, as a resource, Riddle Me That was played. Play at the start of an activation, move a friendly marker 4 inches. The suspect marker designated a rat has been moved ever so slightly further back to ensure it won't score, just to stick the knife in. So because 2 cards have been played as resources this turn, his Drop a Riddle special action can kick in, which has been purchased from funding. He can put a riddle marker within 4 inches of himself, so he's placed it there for future plans. Batista for Organised Crime was up next, without audacity, but just within 8 of Maroni. He moved up, manipulated the event marker, which has sent it back into deployment zone. It'll be disappearing now, and the Pinched Mobster that was in play has now scored for a massive 3. So last activation in Battle Round 1 for the Riddler was Catman. We're not going to get to see his fancy shenanigans this turn, because of just the way things have shook out. Base movement 10, he's an acrobat, so that brings up to 11, and he shot forwards over here, wasting his audacity. Didn't get to do anything with it this turn. He's got a few special actions you can choose from, basically all of them combat related I think, except tracking. And he has another special rule where if he attacks someone who's already acted, he gets a free special action against them, which is pretty nice. He is obviously heading around to where Batista's and Maroni's around there, but this turn at least, he's not doing anything. I guess he could have put down a suspect marker. Every number is already allocated though, and sometimes that's good enough. Alright, one studio light change later. I have to recap what we were doing. Oh, I believe Organised Crime had 2 activations left which we can cover now. It was Fat Johnny and Signalman, yeah that's right. Signalman did have audacity, which for some reason did not follow him down the table, but he didn't do anything with it. They both just ran down the table One of them could have put down a suspect marker, mind you, although that would have been within 8 of that, which is a risk in itself. Let's see if that's worth doing. So it seems like it might be worth doing, so Signalman did put down a suspect marker within 8 of the riddle marker there, and it wasn't a manipulate to remove one, so, just reading the card here, you must remove one of your suspects chosen by the opponent. It counts as being revealed by an enemy model, then remove that riddle marker. So this marker is gone. At first it was going to be remove the rat, but because it counts as being revealed by enemy, that wouldn't trigger the scoring condition. So the 2 that was back here has been removed. Now, don't remember at all, genuinely, especially because of the light change taking up time, what the face down card is on the table. So whether or not that scores anything or not, let's find out together. An enemy model reveals a friendly suspect marker that had a 4, 5 or a 6. No, it was not. So this is just discarded. So with that, we are at the end of Battle Round 1. There is no additional cards being played by either side, so we just have to check the ones in play. The rat does not score because it got moved back over there next to Riddler, so there's no way that's scoring, so that is discarded. However, recovering the juice way back at the start of a turn of what feels like a while ago now, Killer Moth met the criteria, so that has scored for 3, and with that we can go into Battle Round 2. Top of round 2 and Organised Crime have taken first activation. The Mastermind on the Riddler did not help this time. There is one Phase 1 card being played. It is Riddles on the Storm by the Riddler crew. Enemy models reveal fewer suspects than friendly models this round. So if the Riddler reveals a bunch of enemy suspects, of which I think there's only 2 on the table currently, and they don't do as many as that, this will score for 2. No other cards in play. We can take a quick look at who has Audacity. For the Riddler crew, it's Catman, Riddler himself, Quell, and Quiz 7, right there with the baseball bat. And then for Organised Crime, Maroni has it, Hush, Signalman, and Killer Moth right up there at the back. Alright, let's see how this plays out. So it was Killer Moth who got Battle Round 2 started. However, a correction, Organised Crime did have a Phase 1 or Phase 2 card to play, and it's relevant to what Killer Moth did because he basically repeated his first turn. There was another Recovering the Juice to be played. It's been played on him again. He hopped down off the roof there, revealed the 1 marked suspect that was there, although there's no riddle card in play to check. Then he fired the last of his solid shot from his gun, downwind, remember it's got the long gun upgrade from Maroni, and hit Quiz 7 twice for 2 blood and 2 stun. So it was Quiz 7 who decided to activate first for the Riddler crew, and there was a few different things triggering off of each other, so let's try and cover them in order. First of all, a question mark card was placed face down, so when a Riddler suspect is revealed, it will be revealed as to whether or not it scored. He moved into base to base with Signalman, standing on one of their suspect markers. He used his free manipulate from starting next to Riddler in order to reveal it, so now both sides have revealed 1 each. He then unleashed his combo single stun heavy handy bat onto Signalman's forehead. Neither of them efforted, and Signalman as a result took 3 smacks to the head. But with him revealing that suspect marker, he became part of the program, triggering on him doing that. When an enemy model reveals a suspect marker, mark it in some way. When he's removed as a casualty, score this card for 2 and 100 more of the black market money. So I'll admit, I kind of forgot that Iceman was just chilling up there and he still had 1 load of ammo, which he then used without any audacity to do anything else, and shot in down here, and yeah, just casually obliterated Quiz 7 with 9 damage. He had 4 health left, I think it was, after getting shot by Killer Moth, so he is gone. That triggers the program that was in play to score, and since that was already in play, you can score a card on this activation. So the second and last message job has already also scored, rather. So that was a good turn for Organised Crime. Riddler activated and first of all used hacking to move the 5 counter there and the 6 ever so slightly. And a correction, because when you do the riddle marker stuff, the marker counts as being revealed by an enemy, he should have taken 1 stun damage because that's how Intel support characters work, but it's healed now, so it doesn't really matter. He moved down here, he removed his own suspect marker, I believe it was the 3 marked one, and it has become valuable commodities, so Riddler is now holding on to the loot, so the only way to get it off him is to reveal a bunch of suspect markers, which also helps kind of encourage the scoring of Riddler's cards. On that note, as a resource, Riddles Everywhere, Riddler's unique card, of which there is 2 in the deck, was played. You can place up to 3 riddle markers, although 1 was already on the field, so you could only place 2. 1 has been placed in front of Catman here, and 1 has been placed in front of Quell over there. Hush activated, but before we get to his activation, totally forgot he has Exhaustive Planner, so he absolutely should have been cancelling, probably, well, maybe the Riddler markers being played. It's too late to go back now, I'm not going to retcon that because it's not fair, but going forwards, he may indeed use Exhaustive Planner to cancel a resource card being played. Either way, for a special action, he used Gunman, which lets him shoot twice. He moved and then fired, and using the rest of his ammo, because he only has 3 in total, and he's doing a double attack, both with full rerolls from his Expert Marksman. He attacked the poor old man who just barely got out of his car last turn to do whatever it was he did. Oh yeah, put down that. And is murdered, because he's only got 4 endurance. He's got 6 willpower, only 4 endurance. The Riddler crew is getting a little bit thin on the ground, and then he did that all for a paltry 1 victory point from killing a model with dirty money. Quick activation next. Quiz 3 is just minding his own business up on this building, moved to the far side of it, which is outside of 4, and has put down another suspect marker and has been given a 2 numeric counter. Oh, and just so we're clear, it's because he was within Inspire radius of the Riddler, where the Riddler ended up, that he had that manipulate, because he didn't have Audacity. Signalman activated in order to help deny the Riddles of the Storm, moved down here and is revealing or / removing the 5 marker here. So that's 2 versus 1 on the who has taken the most suspect markers. Keeping track of that as well. But did it score the face down card is the thing. Yes it did, because it was a 4, 5 or a 6, so Riddle Me This has scored for 3. So in the alley down here, Quell activated for the Riddler crew next and put a Riddler objective card face down with the question mark score. She then ran her 8 inches to the far side of her boss over here. Incidentally, he did take 1 more stun damage from that reveal that Signalman did. And she put down a suspect marker that's been given a 6 as well. So there we are. So Maroni is a little bit worried about Catman coming around that building, so he activated and has moved over here. He used Menace again to make it harder to attack him in general. He was going to put down a suspect marker, but they don't need to do it to score anything currently, and he's within 8 of a couple of the Riddle markers, I believe, and doesn't want to accidentally trigger a scorecard for the Riddler, so he's not going to take the chance, and he's just going to stand right there. So we're already at the last activation of the battle round for the Riddler's crew, because they're very thin on the ground. The game's going to go much faster now, I think. It was Catman. He activated, he ran round the corner into Batista. Attack 5, strength 3+. He used Precise Blow as a special action for +1 plus rerolling strength dice. He's a close combat master. He is doing blood stun with his claws though, but that didn't really matter in this case. 4 hits got through. Batista took 4 blood, 4 stun. He's a 4 willpower, 4 endurance model, so he died. But you will notice that there is an event marker in place with him, and it's because upon that happening, Pinched Mobster was played. It's not quite in their deployment, I believe. I think it does have to move ever so slightly. We'll more accurately check in a second, but once it is in deployment, that will score for 3. Well, upon measuring, it's about 1/3 into the deployment zone of organised crime. The card just says inside deployment. It does not say wholly inside. So that's going to be score right now. So the marker is just going to disappear. So I've been forgetting that organised crime have been losing people too. So the last activation for them was Fat Johnny without Audacity. He is close enough to Maroni that he could have put down a suspect marker. Actually, he might be outside of 8, so he could have safely done it. So we'll just make sure he is outside of 8 of these riddle markers to avoid accidentally triggering a score. If he is, I think he had some movement to spare honestly, so he can move slightly more left. He'll put down a suspect marker, and that takes us into scoring. So at the end of battle round 2, there is some cards being played that we have to go over, but in terms of the cards in play, let's cover that first. The valuable commodity stays in play for Riddler. Riddles on the... what was it called? Riddles on the Storm? What a strange name. Riddles on the Storm does not score because Organised Crime took out 2 suspect markers, Riddler's crew took out 1, so that doesn't score and will be discarded. The Recovering the Juice that was played on Killer Moth once again scores because he did an identical turn. He met the criteria, it has scored for 3. But, oh, and the face down Riddle card also stays in play as well. But, phase 4, the Riddle of the Night, has scored for the Riddler crew. At least 3 friendly suspect markers have a numeric counter with an even value. 2, 4, 6, 6. So it has indeed scored for 2. Everybody who's got stun damage has healed 1. And with that, into battle round 3. Start of the penultimate round. And it's going to go quicker now because there's only 4 survivors in the Riddler crew, so obviously they all have Audacity. Everyone in the Organised Crime crew except for Fat Johnny and Iceman, and Iceman has no ammo left, have Audacity as well. And there is some cards being played. Phase 1 from the Riddler, another Riddles in the Storm, so They have to reveal more suspect markers than the enemy does. Possibility, I guess, kinda. There's 2 cards, 2 phase 2s, being played by Organised Crime. Another recovering the juice, however, this one is being This one is being spent on Hush. So Hush has to do a little bit of revealing. He's got no ammo left, so it's something for him to do. And speaking of Hush, his card is being played. Master of Manipulation. If you use fewer resource cards than your opponent this round, very high chance. Also means don't have to try and remember Hush's Exhaustive Planner, so there is that. Riddler is taking first activation with that. Well, unless they pass, because they've got 2 passes? Yeah, 2 passes if they want to. Let's see what happens. So the man himself, Riddler, did indeed activate, and he made use of his hacking to move a suspect marker up there, and I believe he moved the one that Quell put down here. He then used a Manipulate to put down his own, and he puts down 2 within 6. Put 1 there, gave it a 1, put 1 here, gave it a 3, and then he moved just a little bit over here, so he's still giving his Inspire to the... well, he doesn't really need it, I suppose, but it's there in case it's needed for something. Killer Moth was once again the first activation for Organised Crime in this turn. He moved up and removed his own suspect marker that Fat Johnny put down next time, outside of 8 of any Riddler markers, and turned it into loot for them. So it is also in play. Quell activated and is being brave, charged back down the alley and put down a suspect marker with her audacity, but not putting a merit counter on it because it is immediately vanishing, and also to help make it harder for Hush to score his objectives. This is also getting removed because of the scoring criteria for you activate the riddle. Remove 2 friendly suspect markers within 6 inches of one enemy model, can only be played after a model completes an action. The action was her Manipulate, so that has scored for 2. So Hush activated, and he moves quite quick. He's a 10-inch move, which was enough that he could sprint down the alley here, get to this suspect marker, and remove it. So he's met the criteria for recovering the juice as long as he lives to the end of the turn, and also makes it harder for Riddles of the Storm to score. From up on the building, Quiz 3 activated his grapple gun, shot down behind the gun store here, and has put down a suspect marker. He had audacity and has put a number 5 on it. Maroni activated and once again used Menace. He then moved forwards and put down a suspect marker close enough to both of these that they could activate. Presumably the Riddler gets to choose which disappears, so let's say that one. And then a suspect marker of enemy choice has to go. Even number is going to go, so the 2 is gone from up there. At which point we check the scoring criteria of the card that was flipped on the table. It was the other Riddler's card called Riddles Everywhere. An enemy model reveals one of your suspects and you have at least 2 riddle markers in play. There is, because there was all 3, so that has scored for 2, but Maroni was setting up something for a turn 4 play. We'll see if it pays off. Already the last activation for Riddler's crew, Catman. He put down a suspect marker, placed a 1 on it, also put down a riddle card face down during his activation, and wandered, not even his full distance, he just wandered back here a little bit, maybe trying to bait Hush in. So now Signal Man and Fat Johnny, and the Iceman up in the building, get to do whatever to take us to the end of the round. We'll just cover those together, I think. Iceman walked off the building, hopped down, and ended up over there. He doesn't have any ammo, so he's not really useful for much. Fat Johnny moved back, and then using the Inspire from Maroni has put down a suspect marker. And then finally Signal Man, he didn't want to risk triggering a Riddler card, so he moved up a little bit and then used his expansive, what they called, Signal Flip? No, Knockout Gas, sorry, on Quell, and has got her for 2 stun damage. And that does take us to the scoring for the penultimate round. So at the end of the penultimate round, everyone with stun damage has healed 1. And as for the cards in play, Riddler's side still have valuable commodities in play. Riddles of the Storm does not score, so it's discarded. The face down card stays in play. And they are playing phase 4 card, Riddle Me Softly. At least 3 friendly suspect markers have an odd value on them. They've got a 136 there somewhere. 135 rather. The 5 is there, behind the tree there. Of the cards in play for Organised Crime, recovering the juice scores because Hush did the criteria for it, which is a big score. Valuable commodities stays in play on Killer Moth, and Master of Manipulation did not score. Nobody played any resources that turn, so it's also discarded. And with that, let's jump into a probably pretty quick final turn. Dawn of the final day, the final battle round, and Riddler has maintained priority. I think everybody who had Audacity, it's the exact same again, so just Iceman and Fat Johnny don't for Organised Crime. Everybody in the Riddler crew does, because there's only 4. There's 2 phase 1 cards being played by the Riddler crew. The third and final of the game, because there isn't another turn, Riddles of the Storm is in play, is fruitless as that seems, and they're playing their Die Hard, and it's being played on Catman. That one seems safe to score, because I don't think Catman's going to get taken down, especially because most of the good ammo has already been used up. No additional cards being played by Organised Crime. With that, let's jump in. Riddler got this turn started for his crew. He used hacking to move 2 suspect markers next to Hush, and their counters have been removed because they are also being removed in order to score the other Activate the Riddle that we saw earlier, so it meets the criteria upon him doing the hacking. That scored for 2. Then he did a Manipulate to put down 2 suspect markers within 6, put one there, put a 2 on it, put one there, put a 6 on it, and then moved himself in front of it, just so if Hush wants to try and get it, he's going to have to come round the sides, and that puts him in Catman Danger Range, trademark. Signalman activated and fired his flare guns into Quill's face for 4 blood. It also set her on fire. Don't have the token handy though. And then he moved into close combat with her because her pistol doesn't have light on it, meaning that she can't fire it in close combat. Well, she might not want to, but she's also only got 5 endurance, so she's got 1 health left. Well, we're staying over here because Quill's trying to be a hero. She went out of combat, went over here, put down a suspect marker, put a 3 on it, which means that there's a 1 to 6 represented by suspect markers, so she could put Riddles of Nowhere, the final one, into play. Meaning that whoever activates next can't kill her, because they have to remove a suspect marker, and in doing so might also cause a question mark to score, depending on what's on it. We'll find out together. Well, it was Maroni who did the deed, but not before walking into base to base with that suspect marker, removing it, meaning that card won't score, obviously. And then he has Hidden Sniper, so as a special action he used Hidden Sniper. Hidden Sniper shot Quill, took her out, scoring a cheeky 1 victory point with Dirty Job for Organised Crime. Quill is gone, but what was the question mark card in play? Let's see. An enemy model reveals a friendly suspect that has a numeric counter of a 1, 2 or a 3. I can't remember what was on that. Oh no! What was on that? That was a... Hang on, we can tell because of the number that's missing. It was a 3! It was a 3, so this has actually scored Riddle Me That for 3. The surviving Riddler hired goon, Quiz 2 activated. He came down here, put down another suspect marker, and has marked it with a 2. Also on his turn, another Riddle card was played face down. That leaves just Catman for Riddler's crew. Hush, Killer Moth, Fat Johnny, Iceman, they can all do something, but it's whether or not they can do anything that will make a difference to the score at this point. And the only thing that they could do was Killer Moth activate, put down a suspect marker, and has moved over here. They might still be able to react, depending on what Catman does, which I guess we'll see in a second. Well, looking at the board state, the only thing Catman can do really that would also keep him out of harm's way is to back off a little bit over here. The only thing Organised Crime can do is Hush could put down a suspect marker, but that wouldn't give them more than the Riddler, so that wouldn't make it worth doing. He doesn't want to risk triggering the question mark card either by doing any other kind of manipulates over here. So there's nothing else that can be done to influence the score, so we are just going to go to the final scores once we look at the cards in play. Valuable commodities for both sides, scores, so they neutralise each other for 3 each. Riddles of the Storm was in play, it once again did not score. The Die Hard card for the Riddler crew does score because Catman is fine. And there's their valuable commodities card. Just in case you're curious, this is what their turned down card was. It had to be a 4, 5 or a 6 getting removed, but it doesn't matter. So with that, let's see who's won. I'm actually curious. I don't know who's taken it. I think Organised Crime maybe, just because their cards are worth more in general. Alright, a hard fought battle by both sides, but who has taken it? Let's start with the Riddler over here. So that's 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. A very healthy score. 28 plays 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Riddler's crew took it by 2 points. If Organised Crime had a bit more room to put down suspect markers on that last turn, they could have scored a sticking to the plan for 2 or 3, which either would have... How much is that worth? Is it worth a 2 or a 3? It's worth 2, I think. Yeah, it's worth 2, so they actually could have made it a draw if they manipulated the board a little bit to get more suspect markers that last turn. So a close fought game, honestly. They definitely won the war in terms of like body count. The Riddler crew was barely standing. They had 3 miniatures at the end there, whereas Organised Crime only lost 2 cheap guys. So they were winning the war, but they lost the battle, or other way around. Whichever way that saying goes. Riddler's crew though took it. The 3rd edition Riddler, the Jim Carrey-esque Riddler, is very, very good. And the fact that he's intel support is very handy as well, though you do have to try and remember him losing health when suspect markers get removed, and if it's via one of these, it counts as an enemy doing it, so he loses health on that. So that's something to remember going forward. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I sincerely hope you enjoyed. Come back next time for some more Batman. Until then, thank you again, and ta-ta for now.